Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and it looks like this year, around the end of March or March 31st, we should see a new Apple event. And usually they do an Apple event around March every year, and last year they did have an Apple event, but that one was less exciting than what we expect this year. So let me recap the 2019 Apple event very quickly, and what Apple basically showed off was Apple News Plus, Apple TV Plus, Apple Card, Apple Arcade, and a redesigned Apple TV app with channels. They also released the same day iOS 12.2 and subsequent updates for not only iOS, but also Apple TV and macOS. And so with that event was just basically their services that were coming out. And now that we have all those, we're looking forward to new hardware with the 2020 Apple event in March. Now, the first thing that is pretty much guaranteed at this event is a new iPhone SE or iPhone 9. So an iPhone SE or SE2 or iPhone 9 based on basically what is the iPhone 8, but with newer internals as well as still keeping the home button. So it's a little bit of a smaller phone, but it's not the same as we had with, say, the SE when it was originally announced. So we'll get something like the iPhone 8, but with updated specs and basically the same liquid retina display and things like that. So we won't really see any huge updates, but the big update for that is a phone around $400 or so. So we should see $400 to $500. You'll have the less expensive updated phone for those that need something a little bit more budget friendly and with a home button. So expect that. The next thing we expect to at least see anyway is the new iPads Pro. Now, this is a dummy prototype I had from last year that we thought it would come out then, but it looks like Apple decided to push it to this year, or maybe they never intended to have it last year. But it should basically have a 3-camera array, maybe some depth sensing ability so you can use it for 3D modeling and things like that, and of course new internals with maybe an A14 or A14X processor in it. But Apple has in the past done things where they've put features in the iPad before the iPhone, and I would expect it to be maybe a little bit more rigid, less prone to bending and things like that, but in general it will be an update for the iPad with newer cameras, newer processor, and that's really what to expect. And then hardware-wise, I would expect new MacBook Pros along the size of the 13-inch, and what that means is basically a replacement for the 13-inch MacBook with the butterfly keyboard, so similar to what they did with the 16-inch MacBook, but we'll replace this butterfly keyboard that we have here. This is a 2016 13-inch MacBook Pro, so replace it with updated specs, updated keyboards, and a larger display. I would expect all of those to at least be announced at the event, but not necessarily available right away. Maybe expect those within a few weeks or so, but the iPhone I would expect within maybe a week. Now, there are other things that I would expect, and the first thing is iOS 13.4. So just like last year where they released iOS 12.2 on the same day, I would expect 13.4 on the same day. So we have quite some time between now with the betas of iOS 13.4 to get to the final release of that. And then there's a couple other things that people think may be shown off at this event or be available around this time or later in the year. And the first one is AirTags. And AirTags is a way for you to locate objects using your phone. And you have it in the newer iPhones. You have a new U1 chip. When you do AirDrop and things like that, you can actually see where the devices are and point them towards it. So if I want to share this wallpaper here, you'll see that I can share it with AirDrop and it's seeing my devices. And as I point toward those devices, it will actually show up. It's a really handy feature. And if you have someone else that has a phone with the U1 chip, you can point it toward that phone and hit the button and it will send. So I would expect little AirTag beacons that you can place in a purse or a backpack or a bag or luggage or something like that that will allow you to locate items that you might have. And those would be pretty interesting because they'll actually communicate with one another and then relay back to the phone to let you know where those items are. And then you can use the Find My app to locate those items. So I would expect all of this at least to be shown, but not necessarily available right away. Now, this one is more of a rumor, but there's potential for a wireless charger. Apple never released AirPower, and unfortunately, we never saw that, but they may show a new wireless charger because they do have a need for all of these charging devices. So especially if the rumor is true of the iPhone 12 that will be out in September, where it may not have a port, you would need some sort of wireless charger. I'm not sure that I believe that at this point, but there may be a wireless charger shown. And then finally, AirPods Lite. And AirPods Pro Lite would be something along the lines of the current AirPods Pro, but without the noise cancellation and transparency options. So for those of you that want AirPods that go in your ear, you would have the option, but they wouldn't be as expensive because they wouldn't have the noise cancellation technology in them. So all of these things are potentially expected at the March event on March 31st. We won't know for sure until Apple actually sends out invites, but there's some good information stating that we will see the next iPhone 9/SE2, and that we will see some other things. And MacBook Pros are on back order right now. So if you place an order for a 13-inch MacBook Pro, you won't have it available. And some people are saying that's because of the coronavirus, but it's actually started before the coronavirus when people were placing orders and they weren't being filled. So they're being pushed out, and this happens on business orders sometimes where Apple actually fills those later on with the updated hardware. So I would expect those a little bit later. And that's really it for this particular video. I'm looking forward to this event, and hopefully we'll see some new interesting things along with iOS 13.4 and new hardware as well. Let me know your thoughts and predictions in the comments below. And if you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, of course, I'll link it in the description as I always do. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time. Thanks for sticking around till the end of the video. I really appreciate it. And so I thought I'd ask you what you think about this sort of update video. Would you like to see more of these, maybe a podcast, or I'd just like to hear your thoughts about this style video in general. If you'd like to see more of them, let me know in the comments below, or do you think this pace is good? Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time.